Have you heard about the Holocaust? It's also known as the Show, and it was a genocide that took place during World War II. Tragically, between 1941 and 1945, Nazi Germany and its collaborators systematically murdered around 6 million Jews across German-occupied Europe. You must be wondering why the Holocaust happened and how the people who committed these horrific acts came to power. It's a complex and dark part of history, but the Nazi Party in Germany rose to power in the 1930s, led by their leader, Adolf Hitler. In this chapter on Nazism and the Rise of Hitler, we'll explore the impactful events and fiery figures that shaped the world as we know it today. From the birth of the Weimar Republic to Hitler's rise to power, we'll examine the complex factors that led to the Nazi Party's reign of terror in Germany and beyond. We will also examine the Nazi worldview, which believed in a superior race and blamed Jewish people for problems. We'll also study how youth in Nazi Germany were involved, and how regular people became part of the crimes against humanity. In this video we will explore two fascinating topics of this chapter that have shaped the course of history: the birth of the Weimar Republic and the ascent of Adolf Hitler to power. Let us start with the birth of Weimar Republic. In our discussion on the rise of the Weimar Republic, we will cover three important points: the effects of the First World War, political radicalism and economic crises, the years of depression. So what was the effect of the First World War on Germany? During the First World War, Germany suffered immense devastation. The war had taken a toll on its economy, society, and political landscape. As a result, Germany had to sign the Treaty of Versailles, which imposed harsh penalties on the country. The Treaty of Versailles stripped Germany of its territories, disarmed its military, and demanded war reparations. The country was left in a state of financial ruin. After Germany's defeat in First World War, the Weimar Republic became the new government. However, it had many problems. The country felt ashamed and guilty for starting the war, which made it an easy target for groups who wanted to go back to conservative ways. People who supported the Republic, like socialists, Catholics, and Democrats, were even called November criminals by those who opposed the Weimar Republic. The legacy of the First World War had a deep impact on German society and politics. The war had instilled a culture of aggression and masculinity, which continued to influence the country's political landscape. Democracy was still a new and fragile idea in Germany, and it faced constant threats from extremist political groups. Despite these challenges, the Weimar Republic persevered and made significant strides towards recovery. However, Germany was on the verge of facing even more significant difficulties due to the emergence of extremist political movements, such as the Nazi Party and the Communist Party. Until now, we have understood how the Weimar Republic took birth after the First World War. Moving forward, we will explore political radicalism and economic crises in Germany. Political radicalism in the context of Germany refers to extreme political views that seek to fundamentally change the existing social and political order. So, in the aftermath of First World War, Germany faced a period of political and economic turmoil. The country was struggling with hyperinflation, causing prices to rise rapidly, and many Germans were struggling to afford basic necessities. At that time, a radical group called the Spartacist League gained popularity and demanded a socialist revolution to overthrow the Weimar Republic and establish a socialist government in Germany. Their goal was to create a classless society in which everyone had equal access to resources and opportunities. The Weimar Republic didn't want the Spartacist League to take over and turn the country socialist. To stop them, the government used force and got help from right-wing groups that included political organizations in opposition. Unfortunately, the fighting was brutal and many people got hurt. However, the Weimar Republic faced other challenges as well. In 1923, the country was hit with an economic crisis due to a depletion of gold reserves and more printing of paper currency. This led to further social and economic unrest, with many Germans losing faith in their government, which further led to Great Depression in Germany. So let us see the years of depression in Germany which led to the decline of Weimar Republic. The situation only worsened with the onset of the Great Depression, which had a significant impact on Germany's economy. The country experienced a reduction in industrial production, a rise in unemployment, and a widening gap between the rich and the poor. These factors helped to fuel the rise of extremist political groups, including the Nazi Party, which eventually led to the downfall of the Weimar Republic. During the mid-1920s, Germany was able to stabilize its economy thanks to short-term loans from the USA. People had jobs, the factories were running, and the country was on the path to recovery. But things changed when there was a major stock market crash on Wall Street in the United States, leading to the Great Depression. Germany was particularly affected by this event and suffered greatly as a result. The crash led to a sharp decline in international trade and investment, which had a severe impact on the German economy, causing widespread unemployment and poverty. The Weimar Republic had a lot of problems with its constitution, and it couldn't handle the economic crisis, which made people lose faith in the democratic system. As a result, the Weimar Republic declined, and the German people became desperate for a new kind of leadership that could address the problems they were facing. With the understanding of birth and decline of Weimar Republic, we will now move to the next topic, the rise of Hitler. Many of us have grown up hearing the name Hitler used to describe someone who's trying to control others or impose their will on others. But have you ever wondered who the real Hitler was and why he is such a significant figure in history? Hitler was born poor in Austria. He was very upset when Germany lost the First World War and hated the Treaty of Versailles. He joined and eventually took over the German Workers' Party, renaming it the Nazi Party. In 1923, he tried to take over Bavaria, a state in the southeast of Germany, but it didn't work. Later, during the Great Depression, he gave passionate speeches and promised to make Germany proud again, which made many people like him. He held massive rallies and skillfully used propaganda to project himself as a messiah. In 1932, the Nazi Party became the largest in the Reichstag, leading to Hitler's rise to power. Now let us discuss how the rise of Hitler and the Nazi Party led to the destruction of democracy in Germany. In 1933, things started to go downhill for democracy in Germany when President Hindenburg made Hitler the Chancellor, which was the highest position in the government. Hitler was able to gain support from the conservatives and began to dismantle the structures of democracy. A fire broke out in the German parliament building in February, which helped Hitler to suspend civil rights such as freedom of speech, press, and assembly through the Fire Decree of 28 February 1933. This decree was mainly used against the communists, who were sent to concentration camps. On 3 March 1933, the Enabling Act was passed, which established dictatorship in Germany. Hitler was given dictatorial powers to sideline parliament and rule by decree, leading to the ban of all political parties and trade unions except for the Nazi Party and its affiliates. The state established complete control over the economy, media, army and judiciary. Hitler created special surveillance and security forces like the Gestapo, SS, Criminal Police and Security Service, SD, to control and order society in ways that he wanted. The extra-constitutional powers of these forces gave the Nazi state its reputation as the most dreaded criminal state. Let's move on to the reconstruction efforts initiated by Hitler's regime. After Hitler became the leader of Germany, he appointed an economist named Hjalmar Schacht to help recover the economy. Schacht came up with a plan to create jobs through government-funded programs that led to the construction of highways and the Volkswagen car. In foreign affairs, Hitler achieved quick victories such as leaving the League of Nations, taking control of the Rhineland, bringing Austria into Germany, and taking over German-speaking Sudetenland from Czechoslovakia. England was okay with these actions because they believed the Treaty of Versailles was too strict. However, Hitler did not stop there. Hitler was advised not to invest heavily in rearmament by Schacht because of the deficit financing, but he still chose war as the way out of the approaching economic crisis. In 1939, Germany invaded Poland and started a war with France and England. Later, in 1940, a pact was signed between Germany, Italy, and Japan called the Tripartite Pact. It was an agreement that these three countries would support each other in case of war, thus strengthening Hitler's claim to international power. Hitler wanted to take control of Eastern Europe so that Germans could have more space and food supplies. He attacked the Soviet Union in June 1941, but it turned out to be a big mistake. The Soviet army defeated Germany badly at the Battle of Stalingrad. After this, the Soviet army became the most powerful in the entire Eastern Europe for the next 50 years. Initially, the United States resisted getting involved in Second World War due to the economic problems that arose after First World War. However, they eventually joined the war after Japan extended its support to Hitler and bombed the US base at Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941. The US declared war on Japan the following day, and then on Germany and Italy. As the war progressed, the US and its allies made significant gains against the Axis powers. In 1945, the Allies demanded Germany's unconditional surrender, and on May 7, Germany officially surrendered to the Allies, ending the war in Europe. However, the war in the Pacific continued, and the US faced a difficult decision. In order to end the war quickly and avoid further American casualties, the US dropped atomic bombs on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima on August 6, 1945, and Nagasaki on August 9, 1945. These bombings resulted in the deaths of over 200,000 people, mostly civilians. Japan surrendered on August 15, 1945, ending First World War. In conclusion, the Weimar Republic was established in Germany after First World War, but it faced numerous economic, political, and social challenges. Hitler and the Nazi Party capitalized on these issues and rose to power in 1933. Hitler's government implemented policies that led to economic recovery and quick successes in foreign policy. However, Hitler's ambitions for territorial expansion and the outbreak of Second World War eventually led to Germany's defeat and his downfall. The Nazi regime was responsible for numerous atrocities and war crimes, leaving a dark mark on Germany's history. In our next video on this chapter, we will examine the Nazi worldview and provide a deeper understanding of their ideology and beliefs. Now, with the EduRev app, you can study more efficiently. You can access chapter notes, watch engaging video lectures, and solve NCERT-based MCQ tests for each chapter all in one place.